Welcome to the Versa Business Tips Podcast. I'm your host, Shaheen Mazloom, and we are here with a very special guest today. Marketing strategy expert, serial entrepreneur, founder and CEO of Zendo, Audra Carpenter. How are you doing today, Audra?
I'm well. Thank you for having me. I'm excited for this
Absolutely.
conversation.
Thanks for being here. Definitely. So marketing, right? So can you explain for everybody, those that don't know who you are, what your expertise is, what your business does?
Sure, absolutely. So I've been in the marketing space since 2009. So I started with social media and it just kind of built up. So for the last 14 years, I've done anything and everything that you could possibly think of when it comes to building a business online. The last few years, I've really doubled down into going into companies, taking their P&L and finding money. So it could be maybe their funnels aren't optimized, maybe their lead campaigns aren't working, maybe there's opportunity in email, whatever it is. But we'll sit down and look at the money and figure out where are they stuck and then where can we generate more revenue. And that's been an exciting time, which is kind of spinned me off into this new Zendo and Company marketplace that I've recently launched. And I know we'll get into all that kind of good stuff, but business and strategy and marketing, that's a place I like to play.
Great. So have you always been like, how did you get into that? So like for me, for instance, I had a very specific path that led me to business finance and credit card processing. Like, how did you go from, being just an entrepreneur to just focusing on marketing specifically?
I actually didn't start there. So I've done both sides of it. I can be an employee if I need to. I've been VP of marketing for very large companies. Started my entrepreneur journey when I was 32, opened up coffee shops in California. So I'm from California. Did
Very
that for a
cool.
while, then moved to the East Coast in 2001, got into real estate. I've probably spent 15 years or so of my adult career in some form of real estate. So I opened up a title company and I did title in 5 different states. So Maryland, Virginia, Florida, I was all over the place and did that through 08, 09, sucked. And it was one of those things where I know how to make money because I've done it a few times now and I've done it successfully. But I wanted something else. I wasn't excited about the real estate industry anymore at that time. And I could have stayed in business, but the government was still there was too much up in the air. And I'd been very fortunate in my career and nothing bad ever happened. So I thought, this is a good time to exit. Somebody invited me to a Dan Kennedy event. So it was a Glazer Kennedy direct response type stuff. I knew nothing about it. Went and checked it out and I was like, wait a second, I can still make this much money, but I'm going to do it online now from wherever I want. And that was kind of where I sunk my teeth in, grabbed a hold of social media first. And that was interesting because it really wasn't doing much yet. But what I found as I acquired each skill when it comes to business, just knowing one wasn't enough. So I'll give you a quick example. I would do social media and I would drive, at that time it was just Twitter, remember? So Twitter, Facebook really wasn't for business yet. And I would drive all this traffic to a client's website, but the website wasn't set up yet. So there were no opt-ins, there were no lead gen stuff. It was a brochure site. And they're like, Audra, this doesn't work. Social media is a fad. I'm like, no. We got to fix your website. And once I learned how to connect the dots for all of it, meaning I build from top down, not bottom up, I get much better results because I can give the clients a plan that will consider all the different moving parts they have, which I get them to revenue much faster versus somebody that goes in that says, I only do SEO. Your SEO doesn't talk to your social media person, that doesn't talk stuff on, your content. That system doesn't work. I find it takes so much longer to get client results. Do it the other way around.
So you're doing more of a 360 view, all things marketing for a business.
Correct. Yeah.
and getting everything working together
Correct.
in unison to get the best. I mean,
That's
that
right.
makes total sense to
Yeah.
me. I've never understood. I mean, we've worked with a lot of different marketing companies, and I've never understood why that is. Like I understand focusing on one specific niche, but with marketing, there's just so many moving
Right.
parts. And if they're all working in unison together, it can be a beautiful thing that works really
It's
well.
wonderful.
Like, I tried doing funnels with a funnel company and doing SEO with an SEO company. And like, none of that stuff works together.
Correct.
So with marketing, how long have you owned a marketing agency for now?
15 years. Well,
15 years.
2009. So yeah, going on
Wow.
15 years.
And is there anything specific that you've noticed with the clients when they first come
Sure.
to you? They're in a mess. They've got marketing here, marketing there. It's not doing what they want it to do. What are some of the consistent things that you notice inside of business as far as the mistakes that they're
Sure.
making on their marketing for their business?
I would say the biggest thing is they don't know how to hire properly. So that seems to be a big challenge. I would say, I mean, 60% of my clients over the last 10 years, I'm going in to clean up after the agency that was there before me
Mm,
because so many people, so maybe 10 years ago, our industry shifted away from being a generalist to being a specialist. So everybody said
right,
niche down, just get really, really good in one thing. But when it comes to marketing, that does not serve your client. So if you
right,
hired me to do social media and I came in and all I focused on was your social media, I am very confined into what kind of results I can get you because you're not giving me
right,
access to all the other things that I would tie onto it to make sure that what I'm doing is a success and that it actually gets you
right.
results. So
Yeah,
when the biggest thing that I see, especially if they're making a little bit of money, they've scaled, say they haven't put enough qualified staff underneath their marketing. So they're bringing in a few
right.
people because they've got a few bucks, but those people aren't skilled enough to put together a whole system to get that
Yeah,
business owner to what it's going to take to get to that next level. So a lot of times that's what
yeah.
I'll do. I'll come in, build that infrastructure, help those people because if they're good staff, you don't want to get rid of them, but who's upskilling them?
Right.
Right? Nobody's upskilling them. They're tapped out at the experience that they came in with. And
Yeah.
so you've got to be able to balance that a little bit and give that company what it needs so it can move up to the next level.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, I hear about companies all the time, they come into some money and they start throwing money at marketing before they have the
Plan.
systems in place or the processes in place to be able to handle whatever that marketing
Right.
brings, whether it's leads or more clients or whatever. It's like you got to have everything ready for the marketing. We kind of ran into that when the first time we tried to scale up, we doubled our
Hmm.
marketing. And of course, double the leads came in, and we didn't have double
Support.
the sales reps to handle it all. So we made a mistake and learned from it very quickly. It wasn't too expensive of a mistake, thank God. But yeah, I think business owners, it's a lot of trial and
Yeah.
error, and I think there's so many ways around that, especially now with the internet and all these people out there putting out this free content. It's like you can learn from some of the best and some of the mistakes that so many other business owners
Yeah.
before have made, especially when it comes to marketing. I think most business owners struggle with marketing or, want better results. Whether they think they're great at it or not, there's always ways to get better results when it comes to marketing. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Here's the other thing that's a really big one is focusing on the wrong thing at the wrong time. So when I
Okay.
build businesses, I kind of break them into 6 stages. You have your
Okay.
idea, right? Your upstart, then you have your launch, then you have your growth, then you start to scale, then you automate, then you hit your impact. What I find is people in launch are trying to focus on things that they could automate, or people that are in the growth stage aren't, are working on stuff for scaling. If people
Right.
focused on the actual tasks that need to be done in that stage, then one, they're building a really solid foundation for the business. too, then
Right.
it's very easy to scale up to the next level. But it's because people are doing it so out of order. And believe it or not, there is an order, and you can move through those stages super fast, but you still got to
Right.
do a lot of that work if you want to
Yeah, you
build
got
something sustainable. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I mean, there's a process that works with
Yeah.
everything. It's like the waitress at the restaurant's not going to ask you what you want for dessert before they take your drink order.
Correct.
You know what I mean? There's a process with everything. Yeah, I totally get that. And it's funny when you mention those stages. I've definitely found myself, especially in the early days, kind of juggling around with those stages. And until we actually started focusing on them in the order that they're meant to be
Yeah.
done, we really didn't start to see that
Good.
success because you're right. It's just certain things need to be done first before you go to that next
And
step.
here's the challenge. They'll buy a
Um,
course that's advanced, right? Spend 2,000, 5,000 bucks on this really great course. And
right.
in itself, the course is probably great and probably worth that, but they weren't ready for it. So they can't actually implement any of the stuff that's in that. And then they feel
Yep.
overwhelmed. So what ends up happening is they run out of money, or they run out of runway, or they run out of passion to try to get this thing built correctly. Stop avoiding the hard stuff and just do the work. And
Yep.
then you only have to do it once.
A hundred
Yeah.
percent. It's funny you mentioned that. I actually took one of Grant Cardone's marketing
Yeah.
workshops 2 years
Okay.
ago. And at that time, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for that information. But thank God I took really good notes, kept all my stuff, and I implemented it about 6 months ago.
Good.
But most people, you're right. It's like, we're in such a hurry to get to that next level or, where we're trying to get to that, sometimes we're investing
Correct.
in the wrong things at the wrong time. Sometimes it's best to slow down, take a look at what you got, see where you're at, and make sure you're doing things in that right
Yeah.
order.
It, it,
Yeah,
it's so
that's
much more
awesome.
worth it.
Oh yes, definitely, definitely. Now with marketing, I've been talking to a lot of people about marketing recently, and there's obviously different businesses
Yeah.
have you know their customers are in different areas, whether it be they have more customers that are hanging out on Facebook versus
Mhm.
Twitter or TikTok or LinkedIn or whatever. Do you think there's something that is kind of universal for all businesses when it comes to marketing? Is there a marketing strategy that pretty much works for everybody, or is it really different based on the business and the customer?
I would say at its foundation, strategy, right?
Right,
Okay. You have goals, you have a plan on what you're trying to achieve, how you're going to achieve it, how you're going to measure it, right? So you kind of set, I don't do anything without a strategy. I actually have a book
right.
that I'm getting ready to launch called Marketing Reset that goes into
Uh-huh.
this stuff step by step. But the customer will say, I'll give you an example. A client will say, well, Audra, we've got an email list of 1,000. We need it to be at 10,000 by the end of the quarter. Okay, that's great. Why? Well, because we just don't have much of a list. I'm like, no, why? Are you going to call on them? Are you going to send them a newsletter? Is it lead generation? What are you offering them? I mean, there's 1,000 different things that you got to consider when you do that. Our time is so limited. If you don't have a
Yeah,
purpose and a plan for doing something, don't waste your time because you're just going to be
yeah.
disappointed with the results. So step back, create a plan. So is there one size fits all? No. Each platform is a
Right,
little bit different. Each market is going to be a little different. But once you
right,
learn the fundamentals, I mean, I've personally probably worked in 100 different niches. I don't, the
right,
niche is irrelevant. The widget is irrelevant. I go out, I find the traffic, I find the place where the people are already hanging out. What kind of
right.
conversations are happening? What is causing conversions? What are people selling? And I can go into any industry and get ramped up pretty fast because the
Oh,
foundation of marketing is the same. I could probably
right.
automate 80% of what you do from a marketing perspective.
Wow.
But most people don't want to become marketers, they want to be in business, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah, a hundred
yeah,
percent. Yeah, we've started to automate some of our marketing for quite a bit of it. Using AI
good.
and different tools like that. But there's definitely still a lot of things that we want to
Yeah.
automate. And it's just getting to that point, right? So with marketing, I feel like most, especially people when people are
Yeah.
starting out, it's the trial and error. Let's try Facebook ads. Let's try Google ads. Let's try YouTube ads. Let's try this, that, and the other. And I think a lot of time, if you don't know what you're looking at when it comes down to the analytics and the results of those ads, it's like, what's the
Right.
point? Like, why even
Right.
do that? It's better to consult an expert, a marketing company like yourself, to figure out the best ways to do it. Somebody that's already done
Right.
it, most likely already in your industry
Right.
type. Yeah, that definitely hits close to
Well,
home.
there's so
So,
many tools out
um,
there. That's the other thing that people don't
oh yeah,
realize. You don't have to guess. Don't try all those platforms. Go and find where your competitors are, then
yeah,
re-engineer what they're already doing successfully. There are platforms that cost money, but that you can go in and find out where your competitors running ads. So I don't have to
right,
guess. There's plenty of data out there. You start where the data is telling you the success is already happening. Then you kind of have to work and massage your message to find the right message market fit. But once you do, then you start spending some money. People make so many mistakes when they start to run ads. Spend $100 a day. Why would you do that? You don't even know who your audience
yeah,
is yet, or if the ad's going to
oh yeah,
land. It's slow down, slow down.
oh yeah. For sure. Yeah. I mean, I've made some of those mistakes myself. One thing that I really like talking about is sales
Yeah.
funnels, right? So I got introduced to
Mhm.
ClickFunnels. What's his name? Is it Richard
Russell
Branson?
Brunson.
Russell Brunson. That's it. So Russell Brunson was at a convention that I was at, and he was talking about ClickFunnels, and uh, the way they were talking about it, I was like, well, I don't know if that would work for lead generation. And I ended up talking to one of his guys there, and they're like, yeah, it's not really for lead generation. And over the years, I looked more
Mhm.
into it, and I'm like, it's totally for lead generation. It could be for anything.
Mhm.
And so I created a funnel and driving traffic to it, this, that, and the other. What is your take on funnels? Do you think? I mean, I think it's very complex. Like, there's all these free platforms where you can create a free funnel and
Mhm.
do this, that, and the other with it. But I feel like they're a lot more complex than what some people explain them to be. And I think it really needs a marketer, a professional behind it to really make it worthwhile. Do you agree?
It can be. So I've been doing it. I actually was in a mastermind with Russell many, many years ago before he
Yeah.
started ClickFunnels. So he was just .com
Very
secrets
cool.
back then, just a snotty nosed, like 21, 22-year-old kid. Super smart though. I mean, he was really starting to make an impact, but Um, ClickFunnels did a couple different things for our industry. One, lead pages, unbound. There were a couple out there, but nobody was really dominating the area. Russell came in and took charge of it and really had
Right.
a bigger vision of what a funnel should look like. Before that, you've heard the stories. It was very expensive. We had to have it custom coded. There were no templates.
Yeah.
WordPress wasn't there yet. So, to take no credit from him, he's designed something that didn't exist. So he created a new
Right.
category for it. But on the flip side of that, as a marketer, my personal opinion is he's oversimplified it. It's not that easy. I can't tell
Right.
you how many conversations I've had with Audra. I built a funnel, I followed all the videos. Nobody's coming, nobody's buying. I don't know what to do with it. I'm spending all this money. I'm
Yeah.
like, but you didn't need that. So for me, it's not, do I need a website or do I need a funnel? It's first, I want to know what you're selling. Do you have
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that you want to talk about on your website? Then you need to have a website. Do I have one widget and I only sell a book, I sell nothing else, and I'm not going to sell anything else? Then you could probably get away with a funnel.
Yeah.
But the funnel doesn't have to be complex. It's a form with a picture with some copy that's compelling and a checkout page. Now, here's the thing, all the focus that is put on designing a website and making sure you have the upsells and downsells and conversion pages and blah, blah, blah. And then the time that is spent getting traffic and building a community, you're better off to do that
Right.
first. I can stick you on my WordPress hosting for free, use cart flows, have a funnel up in 2 hours. But if you don't have an audience to sell to and a product
Yeah.
that somebody wants,
It's
stop wasting
pointless.
your time in technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's again, it's putting the cart before the horse.
Right.
It's that order of the way things need to
Right.
go, and if you're not doing it in that order, it's not going to work
No,
out.
here's something funny. So I have a podcast. You are a guest
Mhm.
with me. As I go
Yeah.
back and I look over the episodes, I'm starting to see patterns in all my people. Now, everybody that I'm interviewing owns a business. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Every single one of them, 100 out of 100, have said they started with the technology. And here's why: it's something they can control. They can create a to do list, and it makes them feel like they're making progress. Because I can go to YouTube and watch a video on how to set up a Wix site or Squarespace or WordPress. I
Right.
can check off a list, which makes me feel like I'm successful in my business. But they're doing it backwards. They didn't test and validate the idea, and they didn't focus anything on building a community. So people need to do it the other way around, so they don't waste that first 6 months runway of starting a business. Build the community first. If I
Right.
have a warm community that is responsive to me, I can sell them anything. It's irrelevant what the
Yeah.
widget is at that point. But do it the other way around, it's crickets. And then you spend the next 6 months trying to build that community that you should have had before you launched.
Yep. Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, our first 30 days, we didn't have an audience,
Yeah.
we didn't have a community, and we almost didn't make it past 30
Yeah.
days. Yeah, it's very, very true. So with all this stuff going on with AI, I use Chat GPT all the time to create posts and emails and things like that. Do you think AI is changing the way marketing is done
Oh,
now?
100%. 100%. So there's two different places you can go there. One for marketers in general, right?
Right.
So that our industry, it's completely revolutionized it. If you aren't a great writer, you're now an expert.
Right.
So you can really play to where your weaknesses were and use ChatGPT to help backfill that. So there's that side of it. But from the business owner standpoint, I would say so many people that are in small business, like I said, they don't want to be marketers. They don't want to be salespeople. They just want to talk about their widget and how much they love it and why they started it. And they don't want to do that hard stuff. AI will
Right.
now give them the opportunity to not have to be an expert. I teach workshops or classes all the time, and some of the stuff is, Audra, I don't know what to say, or I'm not a good writer, or I don't, I'm not sure how to approach this. So I don't do blog content, or I don't do videos because I don't know how to create a script, or, there's always something behind it. And those barriers have now been removed. If they can sit down and
Right.
have a general conversation, I'm a coach and this is how I coach people and this is the result I get them. Chat will provide the rest of it. And they sit there and
Yeah.
massage it until they get something that sounds in their voice and that would represent them.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah, I've noticed that.
complete
Like
changer.
a friend of mine introduced me to some Chrome
Hmm.
extensions that you can get for Chat
Hmm.
GPT that pulls, newer information from the
Hmm.
internet, and it's got these different things that can, say things like you would, and it gets to know
Right.
you, and it's remarkable when you really dive in it. Like I thought it was cool from the beginning. Now I'm just like blown away with the possibilities with just with Chat
Yeah.
GPT alone. I haven't dived into a lot of the other things yet. I've tried a couple like picture and
Hmm.
video AI tools. They don't seem to be useful for me, at least. I mean, they're cool, but I don't see a way to use them as far as Mark. Has there been any other like I guess AI tools that you've seen that
Oh,
are really good for marketing other than Chat
there's
GPT,
so
or is
many
it not
out
really
there.
there
So
yet?
I started
Yeah.
for one of my communities, I started building an AI directory and I have about
Mm,
400 different tools on there. And then I just recently launched AI for small business. So it's a newsletter I send out once a week. It's free, but it kind of gives them the roundup of what's important to a small business. And
Very
I'll put a
cool.
bunch of different tools in there based on some of the cool stuff I'm coming across. There's some presentation ones. So you need to create a PowerPoint or a funding package or any of that kind of stuff. You can actually go in now, type in what your presentation's about, and it will create your whole slide deck for you.
Wow.
Yeah, there's some really, really neat stuff coming.
Very cool.
Video.
How does somebody get on that news on that newsletter?
It's called Unlocked by AI dot beehive beehiiv.com. And I'm just, I'll give you
Awesome.
my socials, but anybody can reach out and
Yeah, I'll
yeah.
put that in the description so everybody has access to
But
that.
I find that because I keep getting the same question. All right, Audra, you're in this AI space every single day. Just give me the highlights. I just want to know, what can I use to do my job quicker, faster, and better than what I was
Right.
doing beforehand. So
And there's just so many
there's so
tools
many,
out
it's
there.
sick. And some of them are worthwhile,
Yeah.
and some of them, are just, they're fun to check out, but there's really no, if it can't replace manual work that I'm doing right now, I don't need another tool.
Right.
It's not about having
Yeah.
100 of them. It's about having 10
Right.
really, really effective one that gets you the best results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So over the years, being in marketing, you've worked obviously with some big names in business.
Mhm.
What would you say the biggest, or is there a consistency with big business owners or super successful entrepreneurs? And if there are similarities, like what have you learned from some of those super successful people that you've worked with?
Let me think if I can compare. It gets heavier. So the bigger you get, you
Right.
have more layers, but your
Right.
focus is different. Your business evolves with you, right? You as a human, you
Hmm.
as the owner. The things that you're
Right.
handling in the startup stage, you don't see once you hit $1 million, once you hit $10 million.
Right.
So the guys that I deal with that are at 20 million, we're having very different conversations. It's strategy and market share and going into new industries or new products versus the new guy. I'm building systems and foundation and things that they can kind of
Right.
level up to the next level with.
Yeah.
Mindset's the same for all of them, though. My guys that are 20 plus million versus the ones under a million, they still run into imposter syndrome. They still run into just fatigue, decision fatigue. They get better at it. And, if
Right.
anything, the guy at the beginning is typically bootstrapping it, right? Or working a side hustle to keep it going, or has the wife working while the
Yeah.
husband's running the business kind of stuff. The guy at 20 million is leveraging money differently, right? Maybe we're pulling it
Yeah.
out of here. Maybe we're acquiring some other software. Maybe we're, like I said, launching another sub brand of a bigger brand. The difference is when the 20 million guy runs into challenges, typically we just write a check and it solves the problem.
Right.
Versus
Yeah.
the startup
Yeah.
guy
It's
can't do
funny. I've
it.
yeah. I've noticed that. When there's a problem, it's like we just tend to throw money at it. Like,
Solve it.
okay, fix this problem. I need it fixed now. Like, let's get it done. And the crazy part is most of the time it works out.
Mm.
And it's like I've been so used to because I've had a lot of different
Okay.
businesses over the years. So, but I've never gotten past a certain level of success. And now with this business, it's just kind of
That's
nonstop.
awesome.
And so I've noticed recently, so the other day our phone carrier called and he's like, "Hey, can you log in?" I'm like, I don't have a login to our phone system. Like I don't even use the phone system anymore. It's like it's funny. Yeah, there's certain things you don't have your hands on every
Hmm.
little thing when you get to a certain
Hmm.
level because you
You
can't.
can't.
It's just not possible at that point. There's just too many moving parts to the business, and you've got to have other people handling those
You
different
got to.
things. So
And
yeah,
I've been very fortunate in my career. I mean, people I've spent time with and learned from. And one quick story, I spent time with Richard Branson. which is like
Right.
bucket list check off kind of thing.
Oh
And
yeah.
um,
Yeah. I met him once a couple years
what I
ago.
really loved about spending time with him was the infrastructure that he's built for his business. So he's kind of gotten to a place where he's an ambassador of his business. He doesn't really deal with
Right.
problems or challenges. I mean, it takes a lot for it to get up to him. And so he did a very good job of, I think at the time he had 450 companies, but he
Wow.
built them in this consistent foundation to next level and built in the right people. Meaning it didn't matter if today you work for him, tomorrow I work for him. The systems, we just managed the systems that were already built for these companies. And he has like a team of 5 that report to him. And that's it. He doesn't
Wow.
hear any of the other noise that's going on directly. He gives orders to that
Very
team,
cool.
and then that team disseminates the information further. But once you get to that level, you have to be able to build that kind of foundation. Otherwise, it's super hard to get past that 20 million to 30 million without a
Oh
really
yeah.
wide system built underneath it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we're almost to a point where we're trying to scale to the next level, and so got all these meetings in place with, for different
Yeah,
strategies and a 360 of the whole
right,
company, and making sure that we have everything in place to go to that next
right.
level. I mean, everything changes when you get to a certain, level. Just keep going and going and going. It's not as simple as just hiring a couple more people and throwing a few more dollars in the marketing jar. It's like there's so much more to it. It doesn't matter what kind of
Well,
business you're
think
in.
of it this way. If you build a system for it, your staff just learns how to run the system. So it doesn't
Right.
matter if today you have Jim there and tomorrow you have Sally there and the next day you have Bill. The company still will maintain its integrity and its consistency because they're just
Right.
following a system you already built for the company.
Yep.
Versus most
Yeah.
companies do
I
it the
mean,
other way
systems
around.
and
Yeah.
processes are the most important thing.
Yeah.
100%. If everything's the same, it doesn't matter what happened. I
Correct.
mean, people are constantly moving on, whether it's, they're retiring or they're moving on to another position, or, they decide they don't want to work anymore, whatever it
Right.
is. You've got to have those processes and the systems in place. Otherwise, losing a few employees could be detrimental to a
Correct.
company.
Well, and it kills your
Yeah.
momentum.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
I mean,
just
momentum is
sucks.
key.
Yeah, when you get that moving, man, you don't you that's when you push even harder is when you actually get the momentum
Yeah.
going. Yeah.
Absolutely. You got to keep that momentum once you have it, for sure. So for those that are maybe new business owners, or they're maybe planning on starting a business, what's the best piece of advice that you could give to those people?
Don't believe all the hype that you see online. There's much more to running a business. I mean, there's brilliant marketers out there. What can I say? But it ends up hurting people. Um, Start at the beginning. Have you sat down and validated your idea and have a market and a community to sell to? Like I said, if I have a $10,000 system that is ready to handle customers, or I have an audience of 1,000 people that are ready to buy from me, I will take the audience all day long. That other
Right.
stuff is irrelevant today. Stop thinking you have to have that to build the community. You don't. So,
Interesting. So, um, now when you say don't believe the hype, what do you explain a little bit more about that? Do you mean like it's not as easy as some people make it seem to be, or?
okay, I don't want to pick on anybody, but well, so Russell has a program that's called like the 30-day challenge or 30 days away or
Yeah.
something like that. Okay,
Yeah.
so when the program first came out, it was a bunch of, excuse me, very successful marketers that would say, what would I do if I
Mhm.
lost everything and had to start over? And they go through and they talk about, okay, I would get into this niche or I'd offer this product, and this is what I would do for the first 30 days. Here's the challenge though. You don't have, Mr. New Business Owner does not have that history of the first
Right.
5 years that it took him to rinse and
100%.
repeat. I'm on business number
Oh yeah.
4. I could throw up a new business tomorrow and have it launched
Yeah.
by next week because I have
Yeah.
the back knowledge. So there's a little bit of a misconception of in 30 days you'll be generating revenue. I
Yeah.
call BS because
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
9.9%
unless you
can't do it.
have if you have the education, you've read a lot of books, you've done, but you still have to have that experience. There's still in certain
Right.
situations, like the experience is everything. I've started a bunch of different businesses. Now that I have a
Okay.
successful company, we've gone to certain levels. Like, yeah, like I mean, in 2020, I ended up starting a medical supply company
Nice.
in 2 days, and we were already generating six figures a week within a week or two,
That's awesome.
and it was, but if I hadn't had the
Right.
experience over the first, I mean, from the age of 7, when I started my first company, there's no way we would have been able to do, I wouldn't have had any idea where to go to, what forms to fill out for international
Right.
trade, or, who to ask, or whatever it had been, yeah, I think experience is a big part of it, or at least having a good group of people around
Yeah.
you, that you can bounce ideas off of, that you can ask
Yeah.
questions, that you can, get the information that you need, in order to be successful and make the right
Right.
moves.
So if you think about it, the stages of a business, like for you and me, we would pick an industry that we're going to go into. We'd find the market that we want. We'd throw up a landing page or a quick website. I mean, I've built over like 500 websites. Websites are stupid simple for me, but
Yeah.
throw up a site, but then I'm going to take advantage of advanced tactics. So I'm going to go run, I know where my audience is. I'm going to go run Facebook ads, or I'm going to go run LinkedIn ads or Google ads. And I might buy some lists. I might run some partnerships or affiliate programs.
Yeah.
But the guy that's just starting up can't take advantage of any of that stuff yet because they're still trying to learn what is a funnel and what's the point of it and how do I write the copy for it and how do I
Yeah.
position my product in the market? They're still trying to learn all that stuff that you would have learned in elementary school. We can hop in and go straight to college and we can bypass all
Right.
those steps. And
Yeah.
so I think
Yeah.
that our industry, meaning marketing and marketing people, they're not really clear that you still have to go through it. The only way through it is
Right.
through it.
Yep. Oh yeah. And really going through
Yeah, it could
it.
be
Sometimes
fast.
it is
I mean, you
hell.
could touch on it and move on, but like you
Yep.
said, if you have some skill or you have somebody that's kind of giving you some guidance, you're still going through it
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, I saw somebody said, somebody posted, it was like, I think it was a meme on Facebook the other day that says the biggest secret to success is failure.
Yeah, it's a good
And I'm
lesson.
like, you know what? It's so true. I mean, you learn so much more from your
Yeah,
mistakes and your failures than you do your successes. But it's just so true. Like, you got to fail forward, and without that expertise or having that experience, it's really hard to do that.
yeah. So think of it this way
Um,
though. So you only have your own personal experiences. All the hundreds and thousands of clients I've worked with, I get to see all their mistakes. So I'm just like, oh no, no, no,
right.
that guy did this. Don't do that. No, this one,
Yeah.
no, that
Well, that's
didn't
it's
work.
the same with us. Like, yeah, it's the same with us. So we got tens of
Oh,
thousands
that's
of
right, because you
clients,
work
and,
with
and we
businesses
dive
too.
in deep with them. So that was kind of, I mean, like so before I even started this company, I worked for different sales companies in
Mm.
B2B. So I saw so many businesses do so many things right, so many things wrong. That really helped launch this company as well, because I was able to
Yeah.
learn from all those different things, So people can
Oh,
learn. I
yeah.
mean, it's there's information everywhere in this day and age. There's success stories, there's failure stories, there's everything all over the internet. I mean, I think people can be successful in
Absolutely.
30 days never starting a business before, but you got to know the information. You got to
Yeah.
have been around it. You have to have, been to a course or a mastermind. You got to have that knowledge,
Hmm.
and know what you're doing in order to be able to be successful in 30 days. I think it's definitely doable. But for the brand new to business, just decided to start a business, doesn't really know a whole lot, Yeah,
It's going to be
it's
challenging. Yeah. Here's
yeah.
the other thing that, to add on, there's a lot of information out there. Typically, what happens is if they don't have the knowledge to be able to make a decision, oh, this guy's content is correct, this one is not correct. Because just because somebody said it doesn't make it true.
Yeah.
They end up in decision overload. I'm trying
Yep.
to launch a YouTube channel and this guy says this guy says this guy says this. Now I'm completely overwhelmed and I don't know where to start or what to implement. Just pick
Pull the
one
trigger.
that you trust that
Yep.
is getting some results and just go all the way down their content. If you're in the free
Yep.
space, consume everything you possibly can. But when you start adding
Yep.
in too many different ways, it's very tough to come out with a successful strategy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. 100%. 100%. So last but
Yeah.
not least, explain to everybody what your offer is out for all our viewers and listeners
All
today.
right. So this is a big one. So I've been, as you guys have heard for the last 40 minutes, I've owned an agency for 14 years. I decided a few years ago that I wanted to pivot a little bit. Too many small businesses are failing today for no good reason, period.
Right.
It's not lack of information. It's lack of understanding how the information should work together. So I started down a path building a marketplace. Now, inside of this marketplace, I have 5 properties so far. Think of them kind of like my anchor stores. Within this marketplace, you come up to an information desk and you're able to say, hey, Audra, I need help with email marketing. I need help with funnels. I need help with lead gen. I need help with setting up Google Analytics, whatever it is. So you come to the front desk, I'm able to direct you to the appropriate tool or resource that you need. My brand is called Zendo and Company Marketplace. And I have, it starts with WordPress hosting. So we do hosting. I help with all that kind of good stuff. Then I do tech support where we manage people's websites. So they're making a little money, but they can't hire an IT person. We manage that for you
Right.
monthly and do small tech jobs like put your Facebook pixel on your website, set up your Google Analytics, connect active campaign, whatever that looks like, right? Then I've got a training site that you and I talked a little bit about, and this is kind of my sweet spot. Think LinkedIn and LinkedIn Learning, baby version right now. What's our date? It will be massive, but it's a lab. It's called Zendo Labs and it's a membership, but I do training a little bit different. I want to teach you something, but I also want to teach you how to implement it, test it, launch it, and then look at the data and come back and start again. So along
Right.
with what I build is all these systems and everything that I've created for clients over the years. What's worked? I've tested it. There are 100 different ways to send send an email. You only need one that works, just one.
Right.
So I only give you one of everything. You take that and massage it as you use it in real time to get the results. And I build in stages. I tell you, if you haven't scaled or if you haven't hit $1 million, don't even look at this stuff. It's not for you. You're not ready. Focus where
Right.
you're at. And then I've got Zendo Connect, which is a freelance website to connect with other professionals if you still want to hire an agency and get some help. And I still do agency work. I just am a little bit more selective on what I do and where I spend my time. But my passion
Right.
now is really making sure that more businesses actually make it past 5 years. And like I
Yeah.
said, it's so easy to do today with the right
Yeah.
resources. So
Oh,
back to the
100%.
offer, any one of those, I'm happy to help. I would love to assist anybody on their journey. But the sweet spot really is Zendo Labs. It's community. There's
Yeah.
guides in there that can help answer questions. People bring in their content and say, can somebody read this? It's not converting. Can you look at my landing page? I need some feedback. My copy's not strong enough. This is my website traffic. How do I increase it? I mean, we're talking about like real stuff that's happening in people's businesses.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. Very
yeah,
cool.
I'm excited.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll put the in the
Okay.
description. There'll be the link to be able to go to that
Okay.
site
And the
and get set
community is
up.
free.
That's
So
amazing.
even if you just want to come check it out to see what's happening in there, come. You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, a big part to most people's success is just being surrounded
Yeah.
by the right people. And you don't have to be in person. They don't have to be your neighbor. You
Yeah.
don't have to see them in the grocery store. They can be online. I've learned literally most of what I have learned in business and in sales has been from people like Grant Cardone, Paul Getter, Gary Cox. I didn't meet any of them until 3 years
Yeah.
ago, and I've been in business for, I don't know, 25 years. And yeah, it's really just getting the right information from the right people, being in those right rooms, whether it be a virtual
Yeah.
room or a physical
Yeah.
room.
Filter out the
You can do
noise.
both. a hundred
Filter out the
percent,
noise.
hundred
Yeah.
percent. It's been great talking to you
No,
today,
you
Audra.
as
I
well.
appreciate your